Now, over the past 20 years in the NHL, I wouldn't say there's been very many major rule changes. The only major one I can think about is going from 4-on-4 overtime to 3-on-3 overtime. Other than that, I wouldn't say there's been a ton of major changes. Wow, this actually worked out really well for us. We got the first overall pick. This was completely random and it just worked out that we got the first overall pick, but that's beside the point. So I want to change things up today. We're going to be changing some rules in the NHL. And when I say we're going to be changing some rules, I mean we are completely flipping the league upside down. The league is going to look completely different over the next handful of years, and I am here to embrace it. Over the next 5 seasons, we're going to be trying to win a Stanley Cup, but I don't really want to explain the rules right now. I think we just need to watch the rules unfold, because when you see some of the rules we've changed, well, you're going to be shocked by some of the outcomes. Now, I'm not going to make the first overall pick selection. Instead, I'm just going to simulate the entire draft, and I have to work with what I'm given. So there is a slight possibility we actually don't get Connor McDavid here. There is a chance that with the first overall pick, the Utah Mammoth don't select Connor McDavid, but it looks like they are. So we're walking away with Connor McDavid as our first player. Sebastian Aho, Slafkovsky, Mint Yukov, Jesper Wallstedt, Dawson Mercer. Those are some amazing players to build around. I like our team right now. We even got Tija Ginla. No, we're building something special here. Now, one of the first rule changes I will bring up right off the bat because it's actually a very important one. Conferences are gone. Divisions are also gone. So you're probably thinking that must mean the top 16 teams make the postseason. Well, that's actually not the case. All 32 teams make the playoffs. So there's big changes coming to the NHL right now, and this is the team that we're going to be rebuilding. This Utah Mammoth team is actually looking really solid, except the bottom 6 is atrocious here. Ginla, you cannot be playing minutes for me right now. I can't have you playing fourth line minutes, so we clearly have to make some adjustments. The defense is actually looking very cooked here. Why is Zach Dean playing defensive minutes? No, we got to make some moves immediately. At first, I thought this was a really good team. I am now questioning them a ton. Now, one thing that is going to make making trades significantly easier is I removed the salary cap. So the salary cap is now gone. There's no conferences. There's no divisions. Every team is going to be making the playoffs. But on top of that, once we get to the playoffs, not every game is a 7-game series, but we're going to address that later. Until then, we have to make some moves right now because we have to improve this team. And Mint Yukov, although you're a great young player, I want to try to win as soon as possible. So it actually might make a little bit of sense trading you. So we could just do a trade like this. Mint Yukov sent over to the Anaheim Ducks. We bring in Quinn Hughes. He ends up being like 4 overalls higher. He's 1 year older, but I think he can make a bigger impact on our team than Mint Yukov can. So we're going to try to go 1-for-1 here. They're going to be rejecting this offer. I'll throw in a couple draft picks. I can't imagine we're going to be doing a ton of drafting in this video, so don't expect us to have too many draft picks. I'll throw in 2 7th rounders, and that's going to get this deal done. Now it's all about winning Stanley Cups right now. We are going all in immediately. So a 2027 first round pick, Nate Danielson, and a second round pick's being sent over to Boston. Caden Gooley and Velarde are both going to be brought in. They're immediately going to be making a huge impact in the lineup. I love this trade. Now we're going to make one more trade just so we can fill out our bottom 6 a little bit more. 2 third rounders, a prospect, and a 4th is going to be sent over to Calgary. Tolvanen, Parker Kelly, and Lundstrom are all going to be brought in. These are guys that are just going to play bottom 6 minutes. They're going to help the team a ton. And now Tija Ginla doesn't have to play 4th line minutes. So I think we're ready for season number 1. We have our playmakers. We have our snipers. We have our power forwards. We have our superstar in Connor McDavid. The team is looking really good from top to bottom. I don't think there's really any weaknesses here. We even have good line chemistry. I can't imagine anything stopping us. Now I will say, when taking a look at the NHL standings, now that we don't have conferences, things look a lot different. We can see every team on this list on the right side below our record. Although we haven't really seen anything crazy so far, once we get to the postseason, it's going to be a completely different game. Like, truthfully, I don't even know what's going to happen once we get to the draft lottery, because there technically is no lottery teams. So does that just mean the worst team gets the first overall pick? I have no clue. I have absolutely no clue how it's going to work once we get to the postseason. Things are going to be a lot different for this team, but I'm very excited to see what's going to happen. So with all that being said, there's only one last thing we have to do before we simulate up to the trade deadline. And of course, that's have you subscribe to the channel, because we're trying to hit 100K this year, and I want to do it as soon as possible. So if you haven't already, make sure you hit the button down below right now. Now, I'm not going to lie to you. I definitely thought this team would be better. With Connor McDavid leading the team, I thought no matter what, we'd be a top 3 team. Apparently, that is not the case. The Utah Mammoth are actually a massive disappointment right now. 17th in the entire league, a 32-22-10 record. But don't worry, because we've already clinched a spot in the playoffs. Because every team makes the playoffs. Even if you are just complete dog water, you will make the playoffs. Look at San Jose, a 24-32-6 record. They're going to make playoffs even though they're the worst team in the entire league. And you also might notice the point totals look a lot different. Like, how do these teams teams have so many points at the trade deadline. Like, look at the top team being the Buffalo Sabres, 121 points right now. How is that possible? Well, I actually went ahead and changed the way points are allocated when it comes to the standings. So if you win a game in regulation, you get 3 points. If you win a game in overtime, you get 2 points. And if you win a game in a shootout, you get 1 point. When it comes to OT losses, shootout losses, and regulation losses, you don't receive any points. So the top teams in the entire league are the best teams that win games in regulation. As you can see, looking at teams who've won the most regulation games, those are the top teams in the NHL. And that makes sense because if you're winning in regulation, then you're probably one of the best teams. Teams that don't win in regulation, well, they're at the very bottom. So we've changed the way the standings are calculated. Regulation wins mean a lot more now. So no more teams dominating just because they're winning 3-on-3 games. We're not holding those wins to the same standard we're holding regulation wins to. When it comes to our scoring, Connor McDavid less than a point a game. What are we doing here? Like, seriously, what are we doing? Connor McDavid, I expect way more from you. When it comes to the rest of this team, we have a lot of guys underperforming, so maybe we have to make some trades. And you know what? There's nothing stopping us from making a lot of trades because regardless of who we bring to the team, we're going to be able to afford to bring them back. Like, if I want to go out and get the top players available in free agency, there's nothing stopping me from re-signing these players because we have all the money in the world. However, having the assets to trade for some of these guys, well, that's a completely different story because we don't have a lot of assets. Now, I think we have to pull off one big deal at the deadline. And again, although I think you can be an amazing player in the future, Seth Jarvis can be an amazing player for us right now. So we're acquiring Seth Jarvis from the Boston Bruins. Again, letting a second round pick is being thrown in this deal. I didn't really expect them to accept this, so I guess we're throwing in a first round pick. Again, letting a first for Seth Jarvis. At least give me a second round pick back. You can give me my second round pick back. I think this is a very fair deal. They're rejecting. I'll take the second round route. I feel like we're getting fleeced. They're not even accepting this deal. Nah, this is wild work. I'll throw in a 6th round pick and we'll get Seth Jarvis. He's going to be an amazing player add to the team. I don't know if he's going to be the difference maker for us, but he's certainly not going to make us any worse. So we went ahead and made it to the end of the season, but unfortunately, we didn't see any more success. And I'm going to blame one man. I'm blaming our head coach. Our head coach wasn't good enough this season. Utah's 16th in the entire league. We have built a solid enough team here where we should be seeing success. But don't worry, even though we had a 41-30-11 record, we're still making the postseason. The team that finished dead last in the NHL, the Colorado Avalanche, who had a 29-47-6 record, they're making the playoffs as well. It doesn't matter where you finish in the standings, you're going to be making the postseason. Buffalo had 153 points this season. That's just crazy to see. You know what else is crazy to see? Seth Jarvis leading the team with 82 points. Ain't no way Connor McDavid wasn't a point a game. Now, what are we doing here? The coach is to blame because in no universe should Connor McDavid not be at least a point a game. Unless he only played 30 games, he should be a point a game. This is absolutely ridiculous. The amount of disrespect being sent towards this team is unbelievable. But we're making the postseason and we're going to have a familiar team in the first round. Who do we get to take on? The St. Louis Blues. We have the St. Louis Blues in the first round. Why doesn't it show every team? You know what? We're not going to worry about it. Oh, it's because there's multiple pages. We have half of our teams on the right side, half of our teams on the left side. We're going to be on the left side this season. As I mentioned, we have the St. Louis Blues in the first round, the 16th seed taking on the 17th. This one could really go either way. Now, in our round number 1 matchup, you were probably expecting to see a best of 7 series. That is not the case. In round number 1, it is a best of 3. The first team to win 2 games is going to be moving on to the next round. But to make things a little bit more interesting, in round number 2, it's a best of 5. You don't get to see a best of 7 series until you've made it to the final 3 rounds. Until then, it's a best of 3 and a best of 5, and we're getting smoked right now. We dropped a very important game number 1, so we now have to win back-to-back games after that. We really allowed 7 goals in game 1. That is absurd, but that's perfectly fine because in game number 2, we're going to be looking to respond. We're not picking up a goal in the first period. Moving into the second, we're allowing 4. We are addressing the defense over the offseason. We just allowed 13 goals in 2 games, and we only scored 4. That's an absolute joke, but we're falling in year number 1. We already lost to the St. Louis Blues. That's not ideal. Now, to finish out the postseason, we're going to see the Winnipeg Jets taking down the LA Kings in the Stanley Cup final, but it was a very interesting Stanley Cup final because Buffalo Buffalo was able to get past the Colorado Avalanche. No surprise there. They were definitely the favorite. But they ended up losing to the St. Louis Blues, the team that beat us. St. Louis would make it all the way to the semifinals, where they would lose to the 20th seeded LA Kings. So the LA Kings, who were 20th in the entire league, they ended up making it all the way to the Stanley Cup final. I do want to point out, Toronto lost in the first round to the 28th seed Ottawa Senators, so they lost to one of the worst. Detroit took down Carolina, so they beat one of the best in the entire league. Meanwhile, over on the right side, we're going to see the Pittsburgh Penguins pulling off the biggest upset, taking down the second seeded Philadelphia Flyers, and they went on a bit of a run, eventually losing to the Cup champs in the Winnipeg Jets. So as we can see, there were a ton of upsets. Anything can happen, and any team can pull off that massive upset. And that's exactly what the Winnipeg Jets did, coming out on top as Stanley Cup champions. So even though we weren't the best team in the entire league this season, and truthfully, we were one of the worst teams in the entire league, that's perfectly fine. Jesper Wallstedt had a goals against of a 650. Okay, I was going to try to gas them up as much as I could, but I can't gas up these numbers. They were atrocious. But whether or not we win the President's Trophy or finish dead last in the entire league, we always have a chance at winning a Stanley Cup. Now, we don't have our first round pick for this season, and I'm not really too sure how the draft lottery works. I'm not even sure if there is a draft lottery. I guess we're about to find out right here, right now. I don't think there is. I think it just goes to whoever finished dead last in the entire league, and truthfully, that makes the most sense. So the Colorado Avalanche, who ended up losing to the Buffalo Sabres in the first round, they should have the first overall pick here. I'm assuming they do, and it looks like it. So we're going to be receiving like the 16th overall pick or something, or at least we would have received the 16th overall pick if we didn't trade it away. But yeah, if you're dead last in the entire league, you will be making the playoffs, but you'll also be getting the first overall pick. So there is a bit of method when it comes to tanking. If you just blatantly tank and finish dead last in the entire league, you are guaranteed to get the first overall pick. So that could be the move. I mean, obviously it's not the move for us because we're looking for Stanley Cups. But if you're looking to rebuild your franchise and you want to do it the easiest way possible, just be the worst team in the entire league. Trade every asset away. Since there's no cap floor, you can run a team of all rookies if you want to, and that will allow you to get the first overall pick. Honestly, I think tanking in a video like this would actually take a little bit of skill. No, I don't think I'm going to be showing the re-sign phase at all in this video because obviously I'm just going to re-sign everybody. There is no reason to not re-sign a player. We have unlimited cap space. Let's just bring everyone back to the team. Now, moving into free agency, there's a ton of players I would love to bring to the team. John Carlson would make a lot of sense. Anze Kopitar would help us a ton. Trevor Zegras wouldn't be bad, but I do believe he's an RFA, so we can't bring him to the team. But I'm going to put a couple rules in place. Rule number 1, I can't sign anyone above an 85 overall. And rule number 2, I can only sign one forward, one defenseman, and one goaltender. So I can't go out and sign John Carlson, then Anze Kopitar, then Zuccarello, then Anders Lee. That would just be unfair. I'm not allowed to sign anyone above an A5 overall, and I only can bring in one forward, one defenseman, and one goalie. I think that's going to make things somewhat fair. So with that being said, who exactly are we going to bring to the team? Which UFAs are we really interested in right now? Now, Jamie Alexiak, he is 33 years old, but he would be a good defensive defenseman for us, and maybe that's who we go with. Jamie Alexiak, welcome to the team. So I'll give you $5 million for the next 3 years. Of course, you're going to be accepting. Why wouldn't you accept that contract? It's literally exactly what you're looking for. Moving on to our next player, I think we're going to go with Charlie Coyle. He's a center that can also play on the right wing. I think he would make a lot of sense for us. So he's going to be brought in. And then when it comes to a backup goaltender, Jet Greaves makes so much sense. And I know we have to give him a starting goaltender type contract, but it's Jet Greaves. You make it work. Now, I do want to make one trade before we head into next season. Velarde and Perbix sent over to the Islanders, and we bring in Matt Boldy. Now, the only reason we can get this deal done is because Perbix has so much trade value right now, it doesn't make sense. As an 83 overall, he has the third highest trade value of all defensemen on our team right now. He has more trade value than all these 85 overalls right now. Nick Perbix is the reason we're getting this deal done. Matt Boldy, welcome to the team. We're not going to be able to get Bobby McMahon as well, so just give me somebody you don't value at all. Like, just give me the lowest value player on the team, and then we can get this one done. Matt Boldy is going to be a huge upgrade for us. I guess we have to throw a bit more into this deal, but I'm not against that. So how about I give you a second round pick for 2028? Is that going to be enough to make the difference? They're saying no. I guess we're giving up a first round pick. I don't want to mess around here. Matt Boldy will be the difference maker for us. Him and Connor McDavid on the top line, they're going to do some crazy things together. I don't want to throw any more than this, though. Luckily, one second round pick will make the difference. Matt Boldy is going to be a game changer for us. So we made a couple adjustments over the offseason, but regardless of what happens, once we play our first game, we're already in the postseason. So even if this team finishes dead last in the entire league, I'm not too concerned, because when the lights are the brightest and the games matter, we're going to find some ways to win. We're going to step up when it matters. We're going to win some of the important games. This might be the only video I've ever recorded where I actually don't care where we finish during the regular season, because we are guaranteed to make the playoffs. No matter what happens here, we've already guaranteed ourselves a postseason berth. Whether or not we step up in the postseason, well, that's a completely different conversation. So I would say there's a very high likelihood at the trade deadline we're making some moves, ideally to improve our second line sniper, because as I said about Dawson Mercer, I don't have the most faith in him. Also, we have a new head coach in John Cooper, so I fully expect us to be top 5. Now, this season's actually very interesting for a handful of reasons. Number one, we're second in the entire league, a 42-18-3 record. However, there is a fairly big difference between us and the Carolina Hurricanes. Like, they've won 5 more games in regulation than us. That means quite a bit. However, the other thing that's very interesting is, you remember Buffalo last season and how they were the best team in the entire league? They're dead last now. They went from being the best team in the entire league and putting up 150 plus points to now only having 59 at the trade deadline. Life comes at you fast. Things can change just like that, and because of that, they're dead last in the entire league. We're second in the entire league. Obviously, our top guys are dominating. Seth Jarvis, I do want you to start scoring. I don't know why you're not scoring, but you got to figure it out here. When it comes to goaltending, Jesper Wallstedt, the numbers are way better this season, but we need to add some more offense. The defense is great on this team. The offense could be better. All right, so here's what I'm thinking. Dawson Mercer, a second, third, and Jet Luchenko sent over to Detroit. Svechnikov, you have let me down time and time again, and I feel like if I bring you to this team, you're not going to see success on the second line. So I'll just play you on the first line. There is no way you don't see success with Connor McDavid at your side. If I play you with Connor McDavid, there is no folding allowed. You have to step up when the lights are the brightest. You need to be a superstar. Seth Jarvis is moving down to the second line, but there is no way Svechnikov doesn't succeed with Connor McDavid. Now, to finish out the season, we were looking like one of the best teams. We closed the gap between us and the Carolina Hurricanes. However, they still are winning the President's Trophy, a 55-22-5 record, but I'm very concerned for the playoffs. Now, we did have one of the best offenses in the entire game. We actually had the best offense, and I believe we actually had the best defense as well. Never mind, Carolina was slightly better than us. That's why they finished ahead of us. But who do we get to take on in the first round? Well, we're taking on the team that finished first in the entire league last season, the Buffalo Sabres. I already know we're losing to the Buffalo Sabres. I know for a fact this team is going to beat us, because they went from being the best in the entire league last season to the second worst this season. They're going to come out with a chip on their shoulder, and they're going to upset us for sure. When it comes to Svechnikov's numbers, what'd you do since joining the team? Were you a good player on the top line? You had 4 goals in 19 games. You kind of did nothing. I don't know why I always trust Svechnikov. Like, I know he's going to let me down, but every time I always bring him to the team, because maybe, just maybe, this time he won't let me down. It is terrible logic, but I'm still going to rock with that logic. As we all know, we're taking on the Buffalo Sabres in the first round. This is definitely going to be a very interesting matchup for us. For a second, I was confused because I couldn't find our team, but I just remembered we're over on the right side now. The second seed is taking on the 31st, and then after this one, we either have Minnesota or Edmonton. Whoever comes out on top in that matchup, that's who we could be taking on, because we have to get past Buffalo first. Now, as we all know, nothing is going to be easy on us. The Buffalo Sabres are a good team. I don't care what their record was. I don't care if they were second last in the entire league. They won the President's Trophy last season. We cannot mess around with these boys, except we definitely aren't. We have a 5-1 lead right now. We're winning this one, and we're looking to eliminate them in game number 2. So I don't think we should mess around at all here. Let's just take down the Buffalo Sabres and move on to the second round. If we go to game number 3, I think we could be in a little bit of trouble, because that means Buffalo's going to have some momentum. Connor McDavid's picking up a power play goal in the first period. Moving into the second, we're going to be exchanging goals. Whatever you do, don't lose the third period. Why are you losing the third period? We have overtime to settle this one. Do not lose to the Buffalo Sabres. All right, we're off to double overtime. We have taken 55 shots. Joseph Woll is literally a wall right now. We can't lose to Buffalo in this one, and thankfully we're not. Connor McDavid's picking up the OT winner on the second shot in double overtime. We're moving on to the next round. Now, we will take a quick look at the playoff bracket between rounds here, because we need to know if there was any big upsets. And I would say there were a couple big upsets. The Calgary Flames, who are the 25th seed, are taking down the 8th seed Washington Capitals. The 24th seed Islanders are taking down the Pittsburgh Penguins. The New York Rangers are beating the Columbus Blue Jackets. Moving on over to the right side of our bracket, the Tampa Bay Lightning are beating the 6th seeded Chicago Blackhawks. That's a huge upset, but not quite as big as the Dallas Stars beating the Vegas Golden Knights. The 30th seed taking down the 3rd. That's a huge upset right there. But as we can see, the Edmonton Oilers are taking down Minnesota, so we're taking on Edmonton in the next round. One thing's for sure though, they don't have Connor McDavid anymore. So in round number 1, it was a best of 3. Now it's a best of 5. After this round right here, we're moving back back to a best of 7, but how about we just sweep Edmonton? Let's sweep the Edmonton Oilers, and let's not have to worry moving forward. But you know what? We do have to worry because we've lost back-to-back games, and now we're in Game 4 elimination. Normally, if you're in Game 4 elimination, that means you're getting swept. However, that's not the case here, and it looks like we're going to be forcing game number 5. We are absolutely dominating right now. We're not losing this game to Edmonton. So we force game number 5. Game number 5 to decide who moves on to the next round. Is it going to be the Edmonton Oilers or the Utah Mammoth going to find a way to win this one? So let's dive into game number 5, the most important game. Who's going to come out on top, the Edmonton Oilers or the Utah Mammoth? Well, we're picking up back-to-back goals in the first period before Matt Duchene would respond. Moving into the second, we're picking up back-to-back once again. I can't imagine the Oilers making the comeback in this one. They did make a late push, but Slafkovsky and Matt Boldy are picking up some late ones, so we're moving on to the semifinal. Is it the semifinal or quarterfinal? Honestly, I have no clue where we are. Now, we've made it to the quarterfinals, and there's one team that clearly stands out, and that is, of course, the 25th seeded Calgary Flames. This team just keeps on winning, but now they have Carolina in front of them, and that's going to be their toughest task by far. Meanwhile, over on our side, it's just upset after upset. Utah's taking on the 26th seeded Montreal Canadiens. The 30th seeded Dallas Stars are taking on the 27th seeded Tampa Bay Lightning. So if we get eliminated in these next 2 rounds, there's going to be a very unlikely team in the Cup final. However, there is some good news, and that news is this team doesn't plan on losing. So we're going to get past the Montreal Canadiens, and then we're going to be moving on to the semifinal. We've split the series so far against Montreal, so game number 5 is going to be the most important game. Can we win that one? No, we cannot. Is Montreal really going to take us down? We were the second best team in the entire league. Montreal was in the bottom third, and they're really about to take us down. No, that can't happen. Utah, I need you to wake up. Connor McDavid, I need you to carry the way for us. Can we find a way to win this game and force game number 7? It looks like it. That was a big time shutout, and we're moving on. Well, we're moving on to game 7 at least. This is a big time game right here for the Utah Mammoth. They got to find a way to come out on top so they can move on to the semifinal. If they end up losing here, well, there's going to be some very unlikely teams in the Stanley Cup final, but we can't worry about that. The only thing we can worry about is this game right here. Hyman's going to be picking up the first goal of the game. Luke Hughes is picking up the second. Can we shut out the Montreal Canadiens once again? Nah, this man Jesper Wallsted's really stepping up when it matters. So we've made it to the semifinals. Carolina's going to be taking on the Toronto Maple Leafs. Nothing crazy right there. Meanwhile, over on our half, the Utah Mammoth, who are second in the entire league, are taking on the 30th seeded Dallas Stars. Dallas has taken on the 3rd seeded Vegas Golden Knights. They've taken down the 14th seeded Seattle Kraken and the 27th seeded Tampa Bay Lightning, but now they have Utah, their toughest task so far. But if they were able to beat Vegas, well, they could definitely beat us. So we have to be prepared for Dallas. Dallas is not going to be messing around whatsoever. They're going to be putting lots of pressure on us. Why did I lie to you? We're sweeping the Dallas Stars and we're moving on to the Cup final, and we have the Carolina Hurricanes. The number 1 and number 2 teams in the league are facing off in the Cup final. This is how it should be, but who's going to be walking out on top? Who is going to be walking away with the Stanley Cup? We're not 100% sure yet. We've split the series so far. Game number 3 is going to be the next important game. Can we win this game? Yes, we can. Now, can we close it out in game number 6? Can we walk away as Stanley Cup champions in year number 2? It looks like it. Utah is on top. They're the Stanley Cup champions. But with us still having 3 years remaining, the four-peat is on our minds. Can we four-peat with this Utah Mammoth team? I don't see why not. We're bringing the entire team back next season, and we're going to be looking to repeat. That is certainly one thing that helps when you have no salary cap. You can just bring everyone back to the team. Connor McDavid, you were obviously the most important player. 19 goals and 11 assists for 30 points. Svechnikov, 26 points, but only 6 goals. I was expecting more from you. I was also expecting more goals from Matt Boldy. He only picked up 5, but at the end of the day, we were picking up all the big goals. We won all the important games, and when it comes to goaltending, this man was a superstar. Jesper Wallstedt, 17 wins, 3 shutouts, a 929 and a 213. He was a big time star for us. It also threw me off that he won 17 games. For some reason, I thought I accidentally broke something, and then I realized I changed how many games you have to win, so 17 games is technically right. You don't need to win 16 games anymore to win the Stanley Cup. You now have to win 17. But the Utah Mammoth are off to a great start. Stanley Cup champions in year number 2. Not only do we have the repeat on our mind, but we also have the 3-peat and the 4-peat. Now, you certainly have to feel bad for the Dallas Stars, because not only did that team get swept in the conference finals, but they actually traded their first round pick away, so they didn't end up walking away with their top 5 prospect. Tampa, on the other hand, well, they did walk away with their top 5 prospect, and that's going to be Jackson Jacobson. So even though this team went on a very deep run and made it all the way to the quarterfinals, they're still going to be walking away with a great prospect. So I think think that's honestly the best thing that can happen. You just need to be incredibly bad, but also compete for a Stanley Cup at the same time. Obviously doing that, way more difficult than I'm making it seem. So we're back in free agency and we have to decide which players we're bringing to the team, which forwards and which defensemen. Now Shane Gostisbehere actually would be very good for one season, so we're going to sign him. There we go. Not much of a thought process had to go into that selection. And then with this next one, it's actually going to be very simple as well. Pavel Zacha, I'm going to go with you, 4.4 million. I do want to point out Cale Makar and Nikita Kucherov are both available. There is no salary cap and these guys didn't get re-signed. That is insane. Like, there is literally infinite money you can work with and you still said, nah, we actually don't want those guys on our team. Like, how does that come about? Also, in case you were wondering what 99 overall Connor McDavid wants for a contract, he wants 12.9 million, 400k more than what he's getting paid right now. So if you thought this man's last contract was a steal, this one is a million times better. So we're going to make one trade here, and this is actually a trade I really like. Matthias Samuelsson, I'm going to send you back over to the Buffalo Sabres. Roman Josi is going to be acquired. Now, Roman Josi doesn't have that much trade value because he's 37 and he has exact top 4D potential. So he's definitely going to help us win a Stanley Cup this season. Matthias Samuelsson himself isn't quite enough, but I do have a mediumly potential goaltender I can throw into this deal, and he will be enough to get this done. So I'm sending this package over. Buffalo's accepting. That's a huge upgrade to our defense. If you thought this team wasn't strong enough, we just got a lot stronger. So last season, the Utah Mammoth were able to walk away as Stanley Cup champions, and I can only imagine this team's going to do the exact same thing heading into this upcoming season. However, I will make one comment right now. Now that we understand how good this team is right here, we're likely going to win the President's Trophy, or we're going to finish second in the entire league. If at any point in this video, if I lose in either the first round or the second round, I'm probably going to lose my mind, because that means we lost to somebody we 1000% shouldn't have lost to. Like, if we win the President's Trophy and finish as the #1 seed and lose to the 32nd seed in the first round, no, I'm going to crash out. Controllers may or may not be thrown. They 100% won't be thrown because controllers cost way too much money. Like, a PlayStation 5 controller costs like 70 bucks. What are we doing here? Now, Utah, things look amazing for you guys right now. You have the best offense in the entire league. Your defense can't compete with Winnipeg's though, because they are locked in defensively. This team is not allowing goals. But you know what? That's fine. We won't have to take on Winnipeg until the Stanley Cup final anyways. They're not even going to be on the same side of the bracket as us. Who could we potentially be taking on? The New York Islanders, and it is very likely going to be the New York Islanders. I can't wait to lose to the New York Islanders, a team that has a 16, 42, and 6 record. We're going to lose to. And you know what? Now that we know how bad they are, let's try to trade for their first round pick. How difficult would that be? Like, obviously their first round pick is going to have a lot of value, but it's guaranteed to be the #1 overall. So if we can pick up their first round pick here, we're guaranteed to walk away with the first overall. We are not getting that draft pick. I take it all back. I can't imagine any universe where we can actually trade for this pick. Yeah, that's just not happening. So we're not even going to bother with that. Before I do try to make any trades though, we will take a quick look at this team. We got great scoring from top to bottom here. Svechnikov, you have 25 goals so far. I can live with that. Is it exactly what I was expecting? Not really, but it could be significantly worse. Meanwhile, Jesper Wallstedt, just keep doing your thing. You know what? Now that I'm going through our team, I don't really know what trade we would make that would actually make us significantly better. The only thing I would maybe consider is trading Luke Hughes for a different offensive defenseman who's maybe a 92 overall, but has like half the trade value, and then we can get a bunch of other really good players as well. So maybe we'll actually do that. I will entertain a Luke Hughes trade as long as it makes sense for us. Now, I could entertain a trade like this. Luke Hughes for Lucas Raymond, Levshunov, and Sergachev. This is something I could get on board with. Now, they're going to be rejecting it. I'm perfectly fine with that. I likely have to throw something else into this deal. And if we're going to be picking up Lucas Raymond, it kind of makes sense to trade one of our forwards. Now, who exactly is that going to be? I'm not 100% sure, but Slafkovsky, you kind of make a little bit of sense here. Sebastian Aho is our second line centerman. Lucas Raymond on one of the wings, and then Seth Jarvis on the other. I can get behind that. And then when it comes to our defense, that gets significantly better. I don't know how I feel about this. Do I really want to give up Slafkovsky for Lucas Raymond? I don't know. I would do Luke Hughes for Levshunov and Sergachev though, because we get 2 elite defensemen, 2 guys that are definitely going to be studs for us. Yes, we do lose Luke Hughes, who is a 92 overall, but we can replace him with Levshunov. So Minnesota, how about you give me a draft pick as well? How about you give me your first round pick for this season and next season? What are we thinking now? Is this a fair deal for you guys? We need to add a little bit more. I like this trade. I like this trade quite a bit. So I'll throw in a 7th round pick for 2029, and that means we're bringing Levshunov and Sergachev to the team on top of 2 first round picks. We're going to make another move here because I want to try to bring another superstar to the team. I don't know who that superstar is going to be, but we're doing something. Now we're going to make one more trade here that doesn't make the most sense in the world, but it also does. Slafkovsky, you're okay for us. Cutter Gaucher will be better. So Slafkovsky in a 1st round pick. There we go. Now, as we can all see, the Utah Mammoth are the #1 team in the entire league. They have 166 points, a 61-19-2 record. Y'all better not lose to these complete frauds right here. They allowed 73 more goals than they scored. I am actually terrified to take them on. Also, Carolina is the 2nd worst team in the entire league. Whichever team has won the President's Trophy, the following season, they end up being the 2nd worst team in the entire league. I'm concerned for us moving forward, but you know what? I'm not going to worry because we do have an elite team led by 99 overall Connor McDavid. Look at this team right here. Amazing offense from top to bottom. I shouldn't be concerned in the slightest. I know when the lights are the brightest, we're going to perform. Except we are taking on the Islanders, and they have no business being in this game, but they will upset us, and I am fully prepared for it. So Utah, you know what you have to do here. Just smoke the Islanders. Keep this as simple as possible. We're picking up a goal in the 1st period, moving into the 2nd. Why is this a tie game? Y'all better not lose game #1. If we lose game #1, I will not be crashing out because we know how expensive PlayStation 5 controllers are now. So Utah, wake up in the 3rd period. We didn't deserve to win this game. A shorthanded goal is the winner. No, we got lucky. The fact that we are relying on shorthanded goals right now is absolutely ridiculous. We should be able to get past the Islanders though. We have a 1-0 series lead on them. All we have to do is win this next game, and I believe we're going to be able to do that. We did allow the 1st goal of the game though. Moving into the 2nd, Connor McDavid's waking up. He's going to be dominating, and we're going to win the 3rd period like that. We're moving on to the next round. Now, although we did sweep the Islanders, that definitely wasn't an easy task. They definitely put some pressure on us. When it comes to upsets, there weren't any on this side. I wouldn't say there was any crazy upsets. I'm also not counting Tampa Bay upsetting Minnesota. It's the 17 seed beating the 16. That's not an upset. Meanwhile, on the other half of the bracket, the Detroit Red Wings are taking down the New Jersey Devils. That's the 30th seed taking down the 3. That's definitely an upset. And then Washington taking down Vancouver. I guess we'll classify that as an upset. Other than that, nothing crazy. So compared to last season, not nearly as many upsets. We're looking to take down Tampa Bay and hoping they don't upset us. We're going to win game #1. Moving into game 2, we're dropping that one 6-5. And then we're losing 5-4. We can't go out like this. Do not lose to the Tampa Bay Lightning in a best-of-5 series. We've been down before, and we've been able to make the comeback before. So how about we do it again right here, right now? We're scoring 4 goals in the 1st period, another goal in the 2nd. We're moving on to game 5, and it's going to be game 5 elimination. So game 5 is coming up against the Tampa Bay Lightning. This is a must-win game for us. If we get eliminated here, we're going to be falling in the 2nd round, and I don't plan on falling in the 2nd round. I plan on 4-peating in this video, and in order to 4-peat, we have to win right here, right now. So let's go ahead and do that. It's going to be a scoreless 1st period. Moving into the 2nd, Seth Jarvis and Tolvanen are picking up big time goals. We're going to shut them out because Jesper Wallstedt is that guy. Jacob Pelche really had to score that 1 goal. Nah, you just hate to see it. I mean, at the end of the day, it's the same result, but I would have preferred a shutout over a 3-1 win. Now, it looks like the craziest upset of round #2 is going to be the Pittsburgh Penguins taking down the Vegas Golden Knights, the 12th seed taking on the 5th, but I don't really classify that as a crazy upset. Moving on over to the other side, no crazy upsets over here. I think the favorite won in every matchup, and it looks like that's the case. So we're moving on over to the quarterfinals, and it's best-of-7 series moving forward. Of course, we have the Boston Bruins, and we're looking pretty solid, except we absolutely aren't. We've dropped back-to-back games. It better not be 3 in a row because I don't want to be falling right here. Luckily, we are going to be winning that one, so give me one more victory so we can move on to the conference finals. I guess it's not the conference finals anymore. For some reason, I want to call this next round the conference finals, even though it isn't the conference finals because there's no conference finals anymore. But I just have all of my rounds mixed up right now. Right now, we're in the quarterfinals. If we win this one, we move on to the semifinals, but we might not be moving on to the semifinals because we're allowing 2 goals in the 1st period. Moving into the 2nd, it's going to be a scoreless one. Utah, I need you guys to find the back of the net right here, right now. Find the back of the net in the 3rd. Ain't no way we just got shut out. The Utah Mammoth and our quest to repeat have been shut out in the quarterfinals. Now that's a terrible way to go out. So to finish off the postseason, the LA Kings going to be taking down the Boston Bruins. The Boston Bruins were the 8th seed in the NHL, so they were top 10 in the league. So I can't really be mad about us losing to them in Game 7. It's just the way we lost. There is no reason we should have been shut out. Meanwhile, the LA Kings, they were 6th in the entire league. So nothing really crazy this postseason. We didn't see any major upsets. I'm honestly pretty surprised at that. Like, considering how many upsets there could have been, the fact that we saw none is actually fairly surprising. When it comes to the offense from this team, it just wasn't nearly as good. Connor McDavid 8 goals for 12 points. Sebastian Aho led the way with 14 points. The offense just wasn't quite as good. Plain and simple. We weren't putting the puck in the back of the net enough. Jesper Wallstedt, the numbers were good from you, but not quite as good as last season. Meanwhile, Seth Jarvis, you scored 3 goals in 14 games. I've had it with you. We're moving on from Seth Jarvis. He is not scoring enough goals in the big games. We got to make a trade. Now, Seth Jarvis has been an elite goal scorer, so I'm looking at moving him. However, we might not have to, because the 17th overall and Lundstrom might be enough for Tage Thompson. Obviously it isn't. Seth Jarvis, you will be traded here. Although you're an 89 overall, you really haven't played like an 89 overall on this team. On top of picking up Tage Thompson, how about we bring in JJ Peterka? He's certainly not going to make the team any worse. We have the cap space for him because we have unlimited cap space. So we've made it into free agency, and there's a couple players I'm looking at signing. One is definitely Steven Stamkos. He has X factors. Yes, he's not the player he used to be, but I think he can actually be a stud for us. And then when it comes to the one lone defenseman who we're bringing to the team, we're going to miss out on Siegenthaler because he's an 86 overall. So I guess that means we go with Alex Carrier. I don't really want Alex Carrier. Who do I want instead? Mario Ferraro? I don't know how I feel about that one. How about we go with Dylan Samberg? I don't recall whether or not Dylan Samberg is a stick on the ice legend, but for today's video, he will be. And then Stuart Skinner, how about you playing the AHL for me? Here's $2.6 million. Now, last season was definitely a disappointment for the Mammoth. However, they will bounce back. Tage Thompson was brought to the team. Steven Stamkos was brought to the team. JJ Peterka was brought to the team. The forward core is looking stronger. When it comes to the defensive core, it's basically the exact same as last season. Levshunov really didn't develop as much as I thought he would. I was thinking he would have an X factor by now, maybe even be up to a 90 overall. That's perfectly fine. We're trusting in the process with him. Meanwhile, when it comes to Jesper Wallstedt, he's still the #1 goaltender. Jack Reeves is still an elite backup. Meanwhile, Stuart Skinner's in the AHL. Now, because of how good the team look, I decided to simulate to the end of the season, and it definitely has absolutely nothing to do with the fact that I accidentally simulated through the trade deadline. Nope, this team was just looking so good, I wanted to simulate to the end of the season. A 56-21-5 record. We had the best offense in the entire league with almost 4 goals per game, and then when it comes to our defense, that was pretty elite as well. It was tied for the best defense in the entire game, so we have the best offense and the best defense. You already know what we're looking to do this season. We're looking to get back into the win column and get ourselves a Stanley Cup. With us being the best team in the entire league, we're taking on the worst, and that's going to be the Buffalo Sabres. So Buffalo has had quite the fall off since their first season. They came out of the gates hot, winning the President's Trophy, and ever since then, they've been in the absolute trenches. When it comes to the offensive numbers this season, very surprising. We had 3-point-a-game scorers, but Connor McDavid only 98 points. Definitely surprised in that. Tage Thompson, you were definitely a great asset to the team. 46 goals this season. As a replacement for Seth Jarvis, you definitely dominated. And then when it comes to goaltending, Jesper Wallstedt, the numbers weren't quite as good this season, but I know when the lights are the brightest, you're going to be stepping up for us. So as we all know, we're taking on the Buffalo Sabres in the first round. I guess we're about to find out whether or not we're going to be upset. Last time we had to take on the worst team in the entire league, they actually put quite a bit of pressure on us. The Islanders put some pressure on us last season, and there really wasn't any bright spots in that team. So Buffalo, I'm expecting you guys to put a lot more pressure on us. We're going to be picking up the first goal of the game, and that's going to be coming from Alex Turcotte. Moving into the second, Matthias Samuelson's looking to get his revenge. He's going to be scoring on Jesper Wallstedt. Don't lose the third period. We shouldn't lose to the worst team in the entire league. Thankfully, we're waking up and we're moving on to game number 2. In these 3-game series, I get very stressed out when it's a tie game because each game just means so much. We can't afford to drop game number 1, and we also can't afford to drop game number 2. So Utah, I need you to lock in here. Buffalo's going to be picking up the first goal, and it's coming from Matthias Samuelsson again. Why is he the big offensive threat? I have no clue. Moving into the second period, we're picking up 2 goals to their 1, but this is still a very winnable game for the Buffalo Sabres, but unfortunately, they just don't have enough offense to match us, and we're going to be moving on to the second round. Now, last postseason, we really didn't see that many upsets. things are completely different this time. Florida's taking down Vancouver. Montreal's taking down Boston. That's two huge upsets right there. Moving on over to the other side of our bracket, the New York Rangers are taking down the Vegas Golden Knights. The 31st seed taking down the second. Yeah, we had ourselves a handful of upsets. But you know what? We can't focus on the upsets too much. We have to focus on the Ottawa Senators because they're the next team up. Now, the Ottawa Senators are a pretty solid team. They're right in the middle of the pack, so I expect them to put some pressure on us. But maybe not 6 goals. Okay, we might get swept. Luckily, we're not. But what can I say? I wasn't expecting them to score 11 goals through 2 games. Now we have to win 3 games in a row. I'm not too sure if Utah can do that. In the first period, Brad Marchand's picking up the first goal of the game, but Matt Boldy would respond. In the second period, though, we're being outscored. Dalibor Dvorsky's even picking up goals. I don't think we can make the comeback. If Dalibor Dvorsky is scoring, that's how you know you're in trouble, because more than likely he's going to be picking up another in the third, except he isn't. And we're picking up 3 goals to their 2. We have a chance to win this game, but we need to win this game in overtime. And unfortunately, we don't have Dalibor Dvorsky. The Ottawa Senators have him, so I can only imagine he's stepping up in the big time moments, but I guess not. Tolvanen scoring a huge goal, and we're moving on to game number 5. No, like, you really just can't give Dalibor Dvorsky any momentum. If that man starts scoring, he's not going to stop scoring. He's just going to keep on picking up goal after goal. And if Dvorsky has that momentum going, then there's really no one that can stop him. But we have game 5 coming up, and this is a huge game 5. The winner of this game is moving on to the quarterfinals. Now, who is it going to be? Well, we had ourselves a scoreless first period. Moving into the second, Tage Thompson's picking up a huge goal. Can we win this game in the third period? It doesn't look like it. It's a late push from the Ottawa Senators. They're tying this game up. We have overtime to settle this one. Who's going to pick up the most important goal? Was that Blake Lizotte? Ain't no way Blake Lizotte's scoring. The game 5 overtime winner, when the lights were the brightest, it's Blake Lizotte. You can't make that up. Like, no disrespect towards Blake Lizotte. Clearly a good player if he's in the NHL. But what are we talking about? Blake Lizotte out of all players. No, that's crazy. Show it to bro, though. Now, to finish off the postseason, we're going to see the Carolina Hurricanes coming out on top, taking down the Seattle Kraken. Seattle was the 4th seed, so I can understand them making it to the Stanley Cup final. Meanwhile, when it comes to Carolina, they were the 11th seed. You really can't question a team that was 1 spot out of the top 10, so Carolina winning here, it does make quite a bit of sense. Montreal making it all the way to the quarterfinals, though, that was certainly surprising. Meanwhile, the Islanders and Red Wings, they had pretty solid runs as well. However, both of them came to an end in the conference finals. But with this postseason complete, we have one more to go through. One more Stanley Cup to win with the Utah Mammoth. I have changed all the rules in the NHL, and through doing that, we've only walked away with 1 Stanley Cup, but 1 cup certainly isn't enough. We have to walk away with 1 more. Jesper Wallstedt, I'm going to pretend I didn't see these numbers. Now, with this being the final season and me wanting to win a Stanley Cup as much as I do, Adam Fox, welcome to the team. Bo Byram, welcome to the team. And then I'll sign 2 forwards, and then we'll move on over to next season, because there is no way with this team right here we don't walk away with the Stanley Cup. Now, is this cheating? Absolutely not, because I make the rules, and we're in an NHL that has no rules right now. So if there's no rules in the NHL, how are we cheating? I'm allowed to sign whoever I want. There is no salary cap. Hopefully all these signings are going to be enough. Vinny Trocheck, welcome to the team. I can't wait to win the President's Trophy and then fall in the first round to the worst team in the entire league. So it's the final season. Here is our Utah Mammoth team. That definitely wouldn't be over the salary cap in real life. But you know what? We don't even have to worry about that because the salary cap is fictional. It doesn't exist in this new universe. In this new universe, we have the greatest team of all time. Jesper Wallstedt is an 89 overall, who is kind of folded in the past 2 postseason runs, but it won't happen again. We have all the pieces we need to win a Stanley Cup. We're not stopping at the trade deadline. We're going right to the playoffs, and we're going to watch this team hoist the Stanley Cup or lose in the first round. There's kind of no in between. Now, I'm not going to lie to you here. After all the moves we made over the offseason, I thought we would be a bit better than just 3 points better than the San Jose Sharks. Like, we looked elite this season. San Jose's defense was significantly better than ours, though. 2.39 to 2.95. Yeah, that is a massive difference. Our defense in the grand scheme was not very good this season, and that doesn't make any sense to me. We have so many elite players on this team. I feel like our defense should just be good enough. Sebastian Aho is leading the way with 85 points. Adam Fox, 85. Connor McDavid, 83. What are you doing? You are a 99 overall. He is regressing. McDavid is regressing on us in the year 2030. We need a win right now. We also need a win because this is the final season, but we have to win even more because McDavid's regressing. We're taking on the Red Wings in the first round. Obviously, they're the worst team in the entire league. I am concerned, especially with McDavid regressing. Now, I know I'm just overreacting when it comes to us taking on the worst team. Like, realistically, there is like a 1% chance this team actually beats us in a 3-game series. 99% of the time, we should be beating this team. And this might be the 1% time we lose, because we're down 2-1 entering the third. But so far in this video, we've always shown up in the third period, and I know that's going to happen again here. JJ Peterka is picking up the next goal, and now we're picking up the OT winner. It's JJ Peterka again. Never question this team in the third period. We might allow 7 goals in the first period and the second period. But you know what we'll do in the third period? We'll score 7 unanswered goals, and then we'll pick up the 8th goal in overtime. That's just what we do. Time and time again, when the lights are the brightest, we always find a way to show up in the third period. We won't show up in the first period, and most of the time we don't show up in the second, but in the third period, that's where we take over. We lost, and we didn't score in the third period. Okay, so we have game 3 coming up. This one decides the series. We might lose in the first round, so I don't really plan on losing in the first round. So how about we wake up and start playing some hockey here? We won the President's Trophy. Detroit finished dead last in the entire league. I signed a bunch of elite free agents. In no universe should we lose to this team. We're picking up 3 goals in the first period. They're responding in the second. We're actually about to lose this game. We need to win the third period. We have shown up time and time again in the third period. I'm actually going to watch the third period simulate. Caden Gooley's picking up a goal. We needed that one. We can't allow Detroit to respond. Trocheck's picking up a goal. I think we're okay. I'm simulating the rest of this one. We're lucky that we owned the third period. If we didn't, we probably would have been a first round exit every season. Now that was stressful, but we're getting past the Detroit Red Wings. It doesn't look like there was any crazy upsets. Maybe the Devils taking down Tampa Bay, but I don't think that's that wild. Over on the right side of the bracket though, there was some huge upsets. St. Louis beating San Jose, so the second best team in the entire league is going to be following. The Montreal Canadiens taking down the 6th seeded Seattle Kraken. So there was definitely a couple upsets here. Even Chicago taking down Vancouver. So it looks like the right side has seen a lot more upsets than the left side, but that could still change very quick. Like if we end up losing to the Edmonton Oilers right here, that is a massive upset. Edmonton taking us down is definitely an upset. We drop game number 1 and we drop game 3. All right, start scoring in the third period once again. I don't care if you guys allow 3 goals in the first period, just score 4 in the third and we'll be perfectly fine. It looks like we have ourselves a scoreless first period. Moving into the second, it's scoreless once again. We're 1000% winning this game because we always show up in the third. This was a guaranteed victory for us. All right, thanks for watching the video. I don't know what to say.